A prime directive of non-interference.
That refers to a living, growing culture. Do you think this one is?
The Prime Directive forbids us to interfere with the social order of any planet.
What am I supposed to do? Recreate the accident and deliberately maroon my crew?
Someday, my people are going to come up with some sort of a doctrine.
We never asked to be involved, Tuvok.
Hey, it's Janelle Waz, and welcome back to another Star Trek video. Stranded 75,000 light years away, the ETA is about 3/4 of a century, and they're running low on coffee. This is the USS Voyager, spending the next 7 seasons trying to find a shortcut to shave a few years off the trip, as well as taking unnecessary side quests. All with a very loose interpretation of the Prime Directive. And it was all the result of Captain Janeway's choice in the premiere episode Caretaker, when Voyager and the fugitive Maquis crew commanded by Chakotay were brought to the Delta Quadrant against their will. Should they use the Caretaker Array that brought them there to go home, ultimately leaving the peaceful Ocampa to the mercy of the warring Kazon? Or destroy the Array to prevent the Kazon from gaining control of it, but sacrifice their only chance of getting home?
Fire.
Prime Directive would seem to apply.
We never asked to be involved, Tuvok. But we are.
And yeah, Janeway's decision wasn't exactly popular among her new Maquis crew members. But what if Janeway wasn't the one faced with that decision? What if it was Captain Kirk, or Picard, or Sisko, or Archer? What would they have done in her place? Destroyed the Array, or use it to go back home? And what about that pesky Prime Directive? How would that have played into their decision? Now in this video, I'm just going to focus on the Array decision and assume each captain would have already apprehended Chakotay's Maquis crew without getting into how they did it. I feel like that's a different subject. So, would it have been a 3-hour tour or a potentially decades-long journey back through the Delta Quadrant for our other captains? What would they have done?
Mr. Paris, set a course. For home.
But before I go further, thanks for checking out my video. Make sure you like and subscribe for more of my Star Trek, video game, and other miscellaneous content. Keep those hailing frequencies open on the other social media sites, and a big thank you to my channel members for supporting the channel. If you'd like to buy me a cup of tea and support my work, consider joining up on my channel. Be great to have you aboard. Now when it comes to non-interference, Captain Kirk has gotten himself into quite a few pickles over the years. Talking a computer that runs a society to death just like he came out of Gunsmoke, turning a badly wigged society upside down. Twice! Though that last time he actually supplied guns to them.
So Spock, ask Scotty how long it would take him to reproduce 100 flintlocks.
Heck, even getting involved with the Organians! Granted, to protect them from the Klingons. When they kept saying they didn't want help, and that they could even take care of themselves? Yeah, Prime Directive, more like Prime Suggestion.
The Star Captain's most solemn oath is that he will give his life, even his entire crew, rather than violate the Prime Directive.
So, in that sense, I can see Kirk wanting to get involved and protect the Ocampa from the Kazon. However, Kirk's interference tends to leave a nasty effect where the societies he helps have to basically rebuild their society. Which, to be fair, isn't too far off from what Janeway suggested to the Caretaker.
Did you ever consider allowing the Ocampa to care for themselves?
They're children.
Children have to grow up.
I can see Kirk framing it that way. It's not so much a Prime Directive violation, but rather putting a stagnant society back on track after the Caretaker interfered with it.
A prime directive of non-interference.
That refers to a living, growing culture. Do you think this one is?
And speaking of the Caretaker, it is worth mentioning the episode by any other name because it has some parallels to Voyager's opener. The Enterprise was hijacked by a group of aliens, the Kelvins, who wanted to take them on a 300-year trip into the next galaxy, and Kirk and his crew went to great lengths to wrestle control of the ship back. With Kirk hitting on the sexy lady of the group, Spock taunting her boyfriend, I guess? McCoy drugging this poor guy, and Scotty drinking this other guy under the table.
We did it, you and me.
Really, everybody did what they were best at. It's not a true comparison to Caretaker because the Kelvins were bent on conquest rather than having the good intentions of the Caretaker. But we do see Kirk willing to go to great lengths for the welfare of his crew, as well as helping the Kelvins who wronged them find a new home where they can live in peace. Interestingly enough, you could probably use this episode to argue both sides of the Caretaker decision. But that being said, I do think Kirk would destroy the Caretaker Array, whether to keep it from the Kazon or to help the Ocampa become a fully realized society. However, because he's such a creative thinker who doesn't like to lose, I can see him changing the conditions of the test. In other words, Kirk would definitely fight a cunning battle with the Kazon to defend the array long enough to use it to get back home, as well as time a self-destruct sequence to initiate after they used it to get home. After all, this would be mere child's play to the guy who bested the Kobayashi Maru.
He cheated. Changed the conditions of the test. Got a commendation for original thinking.
Now, Picard, on the other hand, took the Prime Directive more seriously. When he wasn't breaking it.
You have violated the Prime Directive a total of 9 times since you took command of the Enterprise.
Wait, 9? Those are rookie numbers. But as much as I like Picard, one of the more frustrating aspects of his character was his adherence to the Prime Directive, almost to a fault, choosing not to get involved when it would have been understandable to. Like with the planet of drug dealers and their junkie neighbors. Or Waxana's boyfriend whose society commanded he die at the age of 60.
The Prime Directive forbids us to interfere with the social order of any planet.
Well, it's your Prime Directive, not mine.
That being said, though, Picard has been known to change his mind occasionally, usually when someone on his crew forces the issue.
Data, where are you? Why won't you answer?
Your whisper from the dark has now become a plea.
He's not heartless when it comes to the Prime Directive and is willing to help when the Enterprise is already involved. Of course, this is also the same guy who was straight up involved in picking the next Klingon Chancellor. To be fair, though, Kim Peck insisted.
A Federation officer has no business in nonsense.
And he's also unwilling to sacrifice anyone just for the convenience of his crew, often making choices not because they're easy, but because they're right. Realistically, though, I think Jean-Luc Prime Directive Picard would probably look at the Ocampa and Kazon situation and decide it wouldn't be right to get involved. Sure, the Enterprise is there, but it's not their place to disrupt the balance of power in the Delta Quadrant. Case in point, the Boralans. Sure, Picard felt bad that their planet was about to die and its inhabitants along with it, but he was still gonna uphold the Prime Directive and let nature take its course.
We must face the ramifications of the Prime Directive and honor those lives which we cannot save.
Until Worf's brother, no, his other brother, transported them to the holodeck and bent over backwards to explain all the glitches.
It is the sign of LaForge.
Every time you look at this engine, you're looking at me. Every time you touch it, it's me.
In the case of Caretaker, sure, the Enterprise crew would benefit from returning home to the Alpha Quadrant, but I don't think that would have been the main reason behind Picard's decision. He wouldn't want to sacrifice someone for his crew's convenience. I think instead it would have been more of a side effect of Picard's decision of upholding the Prime Directive.
The Prime Directive is not just a set of rules. It is a philosophy, and a very correct one.
Well, it's your Prime Directive, not mine.
Now, with Sisko and DS9 in general, the Prime Directive doesn't come up a whole bunch. Heck, I did a Star Trek script search for the number of times the Prime Directive came up on that show, and you know what the result was? 6! Only mentioned 6 times! And the last time it's mentioned is in Season 3. And it was said by Quark of all people!
A whole generation of Ferengi will be courting the Prime Directive and abandoning the pursuit of Latinum.
And Sisko really only made an effort to uphold it once in the entire show back in Season 1. The rest of the time it comes up, someone else is reminding him of it, and he does his own thing anyways.
The Prime Directive applies, Ben.
3 hours later.
Mission accomplished.
We have our first 5 prisoners of war.
Heck, Sisko was a major religious figure on Voyager. While Picard's over here like, no guys, I'm not a god, Ben's hanging out with Voyagers like it's nothing. Granted, his mom is one of them. So, yeah, the Prime Directive doesn't mean a whole lot on DS9, so Sisko's decision with the Caretaker Array wouldn't be based on the Prime Directive. But let's consider the DS9 Season 5 episode Children of Time, because I think that's the closest Ben ever got to the Caretaker situation. He and his crew happen upon a colony of their descendants which will cease to exist unless they leave their lives behind and accidentally go back in time and start the colony. Which also means Kira can't go back to the station to get medical attention, so she would die. And Sisko's initial decision is to get his crew home.
What am I supposed to do? Recreate the accident and deliberately maroon my crew? I have a duty to protect my people.
But after helping the colony plant their crops, the Defiant crew has a change of heart and they decide to go through with the plan to go back in time. Until Aldo sabotages the plan and they stay in the present. Hey, we can't even pin that one on Eddington this time. He was in prison.
Have you ever reminded Starfleet Command that they stationed Eddington here because they didn't trust me?
So, while I can see Sisko initially deciding to use the array to get home, I think maybe after seeing the Ocampa settlement and how brutal the Kazon are, as well as some insistence from among his crew, he would decide to blow up the Caretaker Array and make the long trek home.
We can't do it.
What?
We can't let these people die.
Now, if Sisko was pursuing Eddington in the Delta Quadrant, you bet your ass he's using that array to haul Eddington in. Or else they're gonna be stuck with each other for the next 75 years. Hey, just enough time to reread Les Miserables.
One of my favorites, Les Miserables.
Thank you, but I've read it.
Recently? If not, you should read it again.
Now, the first thing Captain Archer would say about this is, what Prime Directive?
Someday, my people are going to come up with some sort of a doctrine.
Definitely a directive, though. One might even call it Prime. Now, Archer is a pre-Prime Directive captain, and instead runs into situations that probably would have contributed to the creation of the Prime Directive and non-interference. There's Dear Doctor, where Phlox doesn't want to save a species with a genetic disease to let nature take its course. Cogenitor with the third gender that Trip befriends. Civilization, where they left a freaking communicator on a pre-war planet? Yeah, probably need to set some ground rules. Archer's first instincts are to help those he encounters, often not looking at the bigger picture of how his involvement could have larger effects, often to T'Pol's chagrin. I can see him having compassion and wanting to protect the Ocampa from the Kazon. But of course, once again, the Xindi kinda muddies the waters with Archer, because if you put enough pressure on him or put Earth in enough danger where they have to get back, he's capable of using the array and leaving the Ocampa to their fate, though not without a lot of guilt later on. But under more normal circumstances, I think Archer would be inclined to help the Ocampa and destroy the array, even if he was struggling with stranding his crew away from home. Even with T'Pol reminding him that this isn't part of their mission, I think Archer would still see his compassion as part of what makes him human. That being said though, this is still Archer, and I can see him pulling something like what Kirk would do and set up a couple of charges on the array to go off right after they use it to get home. Again, trying to do the right thing by the Ocampa and his crew. Heck, he might even be crazy enough to stay behind himself to ensure the success of the plan.
I believe your compassion for these people is affecting your judgment.
My compassion guides my judgment.
And here's my overview of how I think the other captains would have handled the Caretaker Array. I think Picard would be the only one to make any attempt of upholding the Prime Directive and would use the array to get back home, while the other captains would probably follow in Janeway's steps and destroy the array to save the Ocampa. Though I do think Kirk and Archer would probably have tried to do both. But now what about you? How do you think the other captains would have handled the Caretaker Array? Would they have used it? Would they have blown it up? Do you agree with my analysis, or am I completely missing something? And what other moral dilemmas would you like to see the other captains handle? Please, leave comments below and discuss. As always, thanks for tuning in to another Star Trek video. If you like what you see, why not give my video a like and subscribe to my channel? Tell your friends! Until next time,
we'll find a way back.